So, good evening. Good evening. Hold that thought, Kenny. We are back again with the Real Talk podcast, not the fantasy Disney-esque talk podcast. It is the Real Talk podcast because we only deal with facts about the club and about the state of the club. And we're going to talk about the Leicester game. We're going to talk about the Leeds game and anything else the lads want to talk about. Jez, how you been, mate?
Yeah, good, man. Yeah, all good. Yeah. I've got a couple of things to, but we'll talk about it offline. But there you go. No, it's been all right, mate. Yeah, all right.
Happy days. No, that's good. Big up to everyone in the chat room as well. Make sure you're firing these likes up, people. Kenny, how you been, mate?
I've been fantastic. How have you been? I believe that you've been given enforced rest from one of our internet search engines. Which one is it? Is it an American company? Is it a permanent rest or enforced rest?
It's permanent, which is calm.
So you got an enforced rest permanently. Oh, the celebrations! I'll tell you one thing, right? There'll be a lot of people watching this to see if you're going to do a tiny tears routine. Don't cry for me, Lee Gunner.
No, I'll do that in the group. I'll just cry.
It's only an American search engine. It's called Twitter. It's full of shit. It's full of wankers and full of people who the get along gang who smile like supermodels but got teeth like Jaws.
I'll just say to Lee offline, what triggers these people to make them so unhappy? You know, do they?
Lee does.
Yeah, it's me.
It's all three of us because I think what it is that unfortunately, a lot of people are trying to mould us into the perfect fan who they want to represent our great football club, and unfortunately, I don't meet the criteria. You don't meet the criteria, and Lee certainly doesn't meet the criteria. So, what's happened is that, you know, anytime Arsenal win, apparently 3 top gooners like us are unhappy and want Arsenal to lose. I mean, how do you make it up? I mean, Walt Disney must be thinking, you know what? Who's the scriptwriters? Just who's the scriptwriters? I mean, we need to send some of these guys out to Hollywood or Beverly Hills with the sort of scripts that they're coming out with. But it's serious. I mean, we want Arsenal to lose because we're that desperate to get Arteta out. So all the cup finals we went to under Wenger, from 2014 when I wanted Wenger out, I wanted us to lose against Hull, Aston Villa, and I wanted us to lose against Chelsea. And I wanted to lose the cup final against Chelsea because I don't like Arteta. Jack and Ori, film script.
True.
Mate, it's funny. And I was just saying to Jez backstage, like, Facebook, you have to, or you don't have to, but the majority of people will use their real name and their picture. Instagram's a picture platform. So you're posting pictures or you're posting yourself on a story. So both of them platforms are chill, man. Like, and they're massive. They're huge platforms. They're, along with YouTube, the three biggest. Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, they're the 3 biggest. This platform, if you're running a channel, you're on camera 99% of the time. Yes, there's channels that don't come on camera, but you can still hear their voice and they're talking over it and stuff like that. So this platform, you get a few idiots in the chat here and there, but other than that, it's pretty chill considering this is 10 times bigger than that. Facebook's 15 times bigger. Insta's about 4 times bigger. So the only platform where you don't have to put your name in, really, nobody really goes with their name. You don't have to put your picture up and nobody really shares pictures, is that platform. And it's no coincidence that the majority of people on there are just absolute wasters, bruv. Yeah,
100%. Remember, we had the something beginning with S kicked out of us after we did nothing wrong, you know, in 2019, and then July 2020, our late great, because we defended our late great mate, we had the S kicked out of us before on Twitter, and these are people who basically have known us for a long time, but they decided to go with the majority and join the stoning of us. So I've got no love for that. Much love for that.
That's what it is. Like, that's what it is, Kenny. It's like it's a fashion statement, that platform. Right? It's all about
you know
being the
what? I'll
biggest
cut you in as
fan,
well.
isn't it?
There's one person who thinks that because they've got a lot of followers, that's going to translate on views on their YouTube. And there's another person who blatantly got Twitter followers because of their hate of you. And that's how that person got Twitter followers. Now that person is on a different account. Now I know for a fact that person is trying to lure people in and make out that these people are their friends. And I know factually, if that person saw some of the people who actually think that there's a friendship there, that person will accuse those poor people of stalking them. I know I'm not going to name names, but there's a few people like on Twitter.
I've got to fucking read you this. I've got to read you this, guys. This is fucking quality. I don't know who this bloke is, but he sent me something here. He says, "Lol, you okay, mate? You're too scared to tour up the stadium, as you know what will happen to you and your mates." Right?
Weren't you there last week, Jez, for the Villa game?
Yeah, I think I was.
Yeah, I think he was as well, weren't you, mate?
I said, "You are funny, been going for over 30 years. How about you?"
I wouldn't even reply to these people. These people have got time, mate. Right? I wouldn't even reply.
He goes, "No one who defends Lee Gunner has been going for 30 years. You wouldn't follow that twat, you stupid mug. Come see me in the Tottenham."
Me.
It's funny, isn't it? Yeah, the funniest thing about it is these same people, right, have been saying that they're going to smash up certain faces off a fan channel for about 7 years, and they still haven't.
Nah.
So it's like, it's just hearsay and talk and rubbish, man. These people it's just boring, mate. It's like, if you're going to do something, you ain't going to publicize it all over social media and DM someone and tell them, right?
You know what you guys should do? Do what I did last Friday and come jogging with me. I'll get you some passes at the Innocent Tennis Centre and you'll jog past, because I jogged past the Tolleton.
Yeah, you did. I
jogged past Tolleton. You know, it was a lovely sight. You know, lovely sight, and all sorts of Jack and Norris after that. What's that?
The thing is, mate, I'm fucking well known in the Tollington. Jesus Christ.
I think I am as well.
I think you are, yeah. So,
yeah.
Come on, man. You know,
it's funny though, but this is what people do, man. It's like, you know, most of these people are faceless idiots, mate, that are about teenage or 25 below. Yeah, and it's like, they don't just crack on, mate. At the end of the day, they're all just fuming that they didn't set up said fan channel, and they ain't the one that's going to every game getting paid to watch football matches by doing interviews after the game. Right, listen, regardless of what you think of that channel, and I don't really think a great deal of it anymore. I used to, and I'll always be grateful for Robbie for giving me the opportunity to go on there, right? But I don't like how it's gone. And listen, it's none of my business at the end of the day. But at the end of the day, if you went up to every single football fan on the planet and said, "Here's a season ticket, here's a camera, here's a microphone. You can go to every single game in the world that your team plays. And afterwards, you interview fans and you'll get paid. And it'll cover the cost of you traveling and your season ticket. Yeah. And you'll have a bit extra over the top as well to get a studio and cameras and lighting and get other people on the channel." Every single person in the world of football would say yes to that. So let's not pretend. Yeah. So when people see you, Kenny, or Jez, or me doing the same on a smaller scale, yeah, people just can't take it. It's like there's this tribal attitude within football that you're not allowed to have your phone out at a game. Okay, why? You're not allowed to record yourself after a game. You're not allowed to record yourself and talk about football. Why?
Each their own. You know, we all got our individual supporters experience, and I say that with a greatest effect. You know, people want to sort of have a go, then crack on with it. But I'll tell you one thing, right? You don't need to tell me anything about the Arsenal. You don't need to to take how I support the club. You know, born in the area, lived in M4, M5, M7, and Islington through and through. You cut me on red and white. I don't need someone with a football contents award or some aspiring journalist telling me how to support a club and telling me I'm toxic. I'll do what I please. Trust me, Islington born and bred, mate. Arsenal. That is, I'll tell you, this comes before my wife, my kids.
Don't let her hear you say that.
Family. On match day, this comes first. Now,
Yeah.
people want to say, I need a hug, i.e. someone from, Oz Guna. I'll tell you one thing, right? You come from a country where a lot of you lot need hugs.
Yeah.
There you go. And on that bombshell, let's move on. We were bored out of our boxes the other night watching Arsenal against Leeds, but we got the job done. The draw, I thought, was after the games yesterday, but it's not. It's on Soccer AM on Saturday.
Yeah, it
which
is.
I thought was just a bit weird. But that cup, in general, the way they organise it is a little bit weird. I remember they did the draw in where was it? I think they done it abroad one day with Chris Sutton or something, didn't they? They done it. I think it was in a different country straight after the games before. But who are you after, Jez, in the next round? Because obviously, Man City, the team that have held that competition to a high standard for the last since Pep's been there, they've won it every year.
Yeah.
They got knocked out by West Ham on penalties. Some cracking penalties in that game as well, by the way. And they're through. Liverpool through. Chelsea through. Spurs through. Leicester through. We're through. There's still some good teams left in that. Are you worried about any team, or are you just bring on anyone?
Yeah, I mean, Arsenal do have a cup record, not so much in this, to be fair, because I don't think over the years we've taken it that seriously. Certainly not under Wenger. It was the cup for the second string, which is okay because we had Europe in those days, and we were doing reasonably well in Europe. All right, we only got to one cup final in Europe, but there's many a time we got the quarters, semis. It's a different game now for Arsenal. We have to take this cup seriously because, let's get it right. We're not going to win the league. And for all you fangirls out there of Arteta, get real. We ain't going to win the league. Sorry. So we've got the FA Cup. We've got the Carabao Cup. So we've got to take it seriously. Yeah, I am worried. There's some very good teams in there. Liverpool playing well, Chelsea playing well, right? West Ham playing well, So for me, in the next round, the one team I would hope we get is actually Brentford, because I think we might actually half a chance get a result there. If we get Chelsea away, Liverpool away, no. I don't think we'd beat them away, personally. I think Arteta would set the team up all wrong, as he does most weeks. So it's going to be tough. There's some good teams in there.
Yeah. I'm not 100% convinced by your Brentford one, though, mate, because we have lost to Brentford once this season.
I know that. I mean, I know. The only reason I'm saying that is out of the pick of the bunch at this point in time, and this is no insult to Brentford because you've done well.
Sunderland is in there as well. I didn't know that.
Oh,
I can hear feedback as well. Every time I'm talking, I can hear it echoing.
Oh, sorry, I didn't know that. Well, then I'll go Sunderland. We could probably beat them. So yeah, I'm going to Sunderland, but we'll end up with somebody like Chelsea away or Chelsea at home or Liverpool, probably West Ham. And let's be fair. Well done to David Moyes and West Ham. They're on fire.
They're flying, aren't they?
Yeah,
absolutely flying, and they make themselves hard to beat, and they stay in games against bigger teams as long as they can, and then they just go for it towards the end a little bit more. And they tried to do that against Man City, but the final ball was lacking, or that Man City made a last-ditch tackle and stuff like that. Man City were poor, man, really poor. They should have probably won it right at the end. Free header straight at the goalkeeper, but Man City were really poor in that game. And I'm surprised he made as many changes as he did, because he normally goes for it in that competition. And he made a lot of changes in that game, which shocked me. The goalkeeper, you could say, okay, cool. Give the goalkeeper a rest and that, but then really, why does the goalkeeper need a rest? Maybe it promised Stefan the cup games. I don't know, but De Bruyne was playing, Mahrez was playing. They brought Foden on, but it was like, you look at the rest of the team. It weren't a Man City team that you thought, oh yeah, they're going to spank West Ham here. And the longer the game went on, the louder West Ham got, And when it went to penalties, I thought they'd do them. I genuinely thought they'd do them. And Foden, it was funny. I called the first 4 pens. Yeah, I was like, he'll miss, he'll score, he'll miss. I knew Foden would miss. He just didn't look confident when he took it. But West Ham are a team to avoid right now because they are in very good form, man. Very good form. And I wouldn't want to get West Ham. I'm like you. I think maybe Sunderland. I'm not sure about Brentford. Brentford are dodgy because they'll play their best team. Maybe Tottenham. Yeah, maybe a Tottenham as well. But what do you reckon, Kenny?
Well, the thing is, perversely, when I mentioned it, I said Liverpool when Dan mentioned it on Twitter. And everyone says, well, you're got to be joking. And I thought, well, hang on here. If Klopp plays that team that he played yesterday, so he made complete wholesale changes. The only player that played was Matip. Like, you know, Gomez was their captain, and he played Neco Williams. He even brought on Matt Phillips to come on for Matip later on. But he played a guy called Blair. He played Oxlade-Chamberlain. He played Divock Origi. His midfield, he had Minamino in the team as well. So he had obviously players who don't normally play. But if Klopp is serious and he's always talking about the fixture congestion involving Liverpool, then you would think that he's going to be more concerned with the Premiership and the Champions League, because he's going to muse over the fact that he hasn't got the squad numbers that probably a Chelsea and Man City have. So I expect Klopp. I'd expect Klopp to play a similar 11. And that's why I think that they're going to be, well, obviously, I think it'd be more manageable than in our team. But then I forgot about Sunderland. No matter how well Sunderland play and whether they get the best team or not, we should be able to beat them comfortably. I do fear Leicester, because I think, well, even though yesterday Rodgers left out quite a few players, he changed his goalkeeper, played Ward, but you know, there's another. They got a new striker. I think is it Daka? Sorry.
Daka, Patson Daka, yeah.
Yeah, Daka. I don't know. He's basically kicking the door down for them. So that's another player. And obviously, you know, Maddison played, he got my penalty, and Harvey Barnes still an excellent player. And they're getting a bit of form. So he might think, you know what, we've won the FA Cup last year, I want another trophy. And so he might take it seriously. Spurs, I think, you know, if Spurs don't win a trophy, then they'll never do, because they did play quite a good team. Harry Kane played yesterday. Obviously, they changed their goalkeeper, but again, that's going to be very, very, very difficult. And you guys have already mentioned West Ham and Brentford, who I think are going to pose some difficulties. But you know what? It's a cup, and anything can happen in the cup. You know what I mean? But you know, if Liverpool play that 11, Liverpool all day long, preferably at the Emirates. If it's the Anfield.
But do you think they will play that 11 though? Like, if they get a Chelsea or an Arsenal, do you think they will go with that?
Well, it depends really, because they could play a strong side, I suppose. Because you know, the Champions League last group stage matches is probably going to be about a week before, isn't it? And then you've got games on the 18th and 19th, and then you have the next games after that, league games, is going to be Boxing Day. So he could, you know, either give some players a rest or play, you know, better, you know, more recognisable players during that time. But, you know, because he might say, right, they're going to the African nations, let's give our fans a bit of a farewell. Could happen, but, you know, judging what I saw yesterday, I want Liverpool.
Interesting, very interesting. Yeah, Liverpool's a weird one because it's all about the league for them. I think this season, I think the fact that they had a torrid time last season with injuries and stuff like that. I think that their main aim this season is to win the league. So yeah, you could be right there, man. You could be right. He could just go with a mix and match team. Maybe throw a Salah or a Mane and a Jota or someone like that in there if he gets a bigger team. I personally think we'll end up with Tottenham. That's who I think we'll get.
Well, like 3 years ago.
When that was it? Who was it that scored back in the day? Flamini. Yeah. Do you remember when he scored the two in the second game? He scored the volley, didn't he?
Yeah, he scored 2 goals, didn't it? Yeah, but then you know, like the quarterfinals 3 years ago, they Song and Dele Alli scored a worldie in it to beat us 2-0 at the Emirates.
Yep, I was at that game. Not good. Yeah. Not good at all. But no, listen, it's interesting because once it gets down to the semi-final stage, then it's like, oh, we can win this. So it's like we need to be on it in the next round, because as much as none of us can stand this manager, I think we all want to win this cup. Yeah, it's a trophy. Yeah, I want to win trophies. That's why we moved here. That's why we moved to this ground. You know, that's why we smashed the last one down. And we've only ever won this twice in our history. That's embarrassing, really. You know?
We've got a couple of finals, though, innit? We've got a few finals in '68 and '69. You know, Leeds and Swindon. We lost to.
2011.
I was at the Swindon one. I was at
Yeah.
that. That was my first ever cup final.
Was that? Is what 1969? Was it Don Rogers?
Yeah, it was my first.
Yeah. There was a Little's
First
Cup in
cup
there's Little's Cup in '88 against Luton. How we lost to Luton Town, I'll never know. Never know. Never know. Especially Ricky, Brian Bloody Steen and Dibble, Andy Dibble. Oh, I'll never forget.
Brian Steen was a good player, though, man. To be fair, but
yeah, the Steen brothers. And then Gus, I still think that Wilson fouled Gus Season. That it wasn't actually a Gus Season slip. He got fouled in the build-up. That's it. That's his excuse. I'm letting Gus off.
Yeah,
and then,
yeah, we have
remember
lost
2007 we got the final against Chelsea when Arsene Wenger put a vanity 11 out. He could have put his best team out.
Yeah,
but all he cared about was vanity.
First goal for Arsenal.
Yeah, but to this day, why did Arsene Wenger play the kids? What was that all about? And then we lost, and he was trying to take credit for playing the kids when Chelsea won the thing. I think that was when I was turning against Wenger. I was fully behind Arsene, but when he did that, I think he was losing me a little bit. He didn't lose me fully, but he was losing me a bit for that final.
Yeah, that was when that Drogba that scored that day again.
Yeah, both of the goals. Yeah, and then remember that you were at the final. Jez, were you at the final in 2018 when we played in the League Cup final? Where we got battered.
Yeah,
that was
when that one where Mustafi let the ball bounce from the goal kick and Aguero did the keeper. Yeah. I was sat next to a fellow that day, right? An Irish guy. He must have been late 70s, the old boy, yeah. And all the way through it, he was going mad. He was going, this manager. He was like, anyone thinks that I was a Wenger hater, yeah? If you could have heard this old boy sat next to me, you would have been having kittens, mate. He was going mad. Absolutely mad. He walked out in the end. He walked out about 20 minutes from the end. He said, sod this. He goes, I'm done with it.
I think I was the only one still in the stadium when a third goal went in from who scored a third goal? Was it David Silva? And then there was actually punch-ups behind me because I think fans who were trying to leave were getting stopped, called all sorts of names. So punches were thrown. It was ridiculous.
Them days were mad, though. That last couple of seasons of Wenger, mate, it was crazy, wasn't it? It was mad. Like, literally, everyone just having tear-ups at every game. It was mental. Mad. Absolutely mad. Listen, big up to Declan Parrott for the donation, buddy. I've only just started. I started it last night, FIFA, mate. But you'll have to DM me or something, mate, because I'll never remember that. But I haven't even got a team. I'm just buying packs at the minute. I'm doing a Man City. I'm just buying all the best players, mate. So yeah, I've got about 1.4 million. I packed Didier Drogba 7th pack, so I'm buzzing with that, mate. That's kind of sorted me out. That's 800k. So cheers. But yeah, DM me on Insta, man. Obviously, I've not got Twitter anymore, so DM me on Insta. Big up to everyone watching live as well. 500 in here as well. Make sure you smash these likes up, people. Let's move on to the Leicester game because we have got them Saturday early kickoff. I think it's an anniversary of their owner's death, I believe.
I believe it is. Yeah, I believe. Yeah.
And it's mad. Listen, it's mad when anyone dies, but when it's somebody within football with a big stature at a big club as well, it's like, especially in such a tragic way as well, like horrible, man. But their fans, their players, the club, they're all going to obviously remember. Hopefully our fans take part in that as well. And we always say our away fans are quality, so I'm sure they will. I'm sure it'll be an impeccable silence if they ever silence for him. I'm sure they probably will. If they don't and it's a round of applause, I'm sure our fans will get involved in that as well. But they're going to be bang up for it. And it's an early kickoff, which we're not really very good at. And it's an away game.
Yeah, we beat them last season at their ground in an early kickoff, didn't we?
I think, wasn't it 1-0? Was it 1-0?
No, beat them 3-1.
Yes, you're right. Sorry, you're right. They beat us 1-0 at the Emirates. Jamie Vardy. Yeah, we did. You're right. We did beat them last year. I think with them this year, like they've started off very poorly this year. And I don't know why that is. I don't know why they've started so poorly because they've been shipping goals. I mean, they conceded 3 against Spartak Moscow the other night and still ended up winning the game. But they were all over the place the other day in that game. But I looked at their league form earlier when I did my preview, and they're unbeaten in quite a lot of games now, man, in the league. And they're level on points with us. They've got an identical record to us. They've scored more goals, but they've conceded more. So their goal difference is 0. So if we can beat them, then we fly up the table quite a bit. I think we move up to 5th if we beat them. If we don't beat them, we're on the second page of the league. Yeah, you won't be able to see us in that top 10, mate, because if we lose and other teams in and around us win, we're doomed again. And it's like, this is where I'm at with it. It's like we're one game away from capitulating again. And it's like, it's all well and good that we've been on an 8-game unbeaten run, but that's in all competitions, first and foremost. And secondly, we're still 10th. And I know it's kind of bunched up with the points and that, but Jez, what are you thinking going into this? Like, because we ain't been playing amazingly well. We did against Villa. I thought we were decent against Villa. Leeds was a bore fest, but you could maybe put that down to the amount of changes. We've kept, I think, 4 clean sheets in our last 6 league games, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
But Leicester can and will, at home, have a go, as we know they can. Jamie Vardy, Iniacho, Daka, Maddison, Tillemans, Harvey Barnes. They got some bloody good players, mate. And are you worried in any way about this, or do you just think we're going to go there and get a job done?
Well, I mean, our last league game was 3-1 when it Aston Villa, so we didn't keep a clean sheet there. But yeah, I mean, once again, guys, I want us to win. I do. I know it's going to prolong the pain of having this fraudetta here. I'm going to be positive, but I'm going for a 1-1, to be honest. I think it'll be a close-knit game. Both teams are up for it. Both teams are in the positions they are. As long as he picks the right team, please, God, don't put Odegaard in there.
Careful, mate. His fans will be after you.
Oh, yeah.
So toxic, Jez. If you can't see what Odegaard's doing, mate, you can fuck off down the lane.
Obviously, I know nothing. I'm a newbie to Arsenal. You know
what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
And I'm sorry, Odegaard doesn't bring anything to the party. He didn't last season, so why is he going to go and do it this season? He's too weak for the Premier League. I've said it before, and I'll just say it again. So I'm hoping for a 1-1. I mean, I'm going to the game. I've never been to the King Power, so I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, you are going. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. That's an early start for you then. If it's a 12:30 kickoff, you've got to leave at what, 7ish?
No. I think we're going at. Yeah, no, we're leaving here at 7, so we can stop on the way. The good old Blue Ball services.
Is that your favourite services on the M1, Jez?
No, that's where she had all the scraps, wasn't it? All happened there. Back in the day. But it's all right there, and it's about, from me, it's about just about halfway. So we're stopping there for some breakfast, whatever, and move on up. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to it, actually. Because I say I've never been to the King Power. Went to the old Filbert Street on many an occasion. I'm going 1-1, so long as he gets that midfield right. Because if he doesn't get that midfield right, mate, we're going to get carved up.
Who would you go as the 3? Obviously, he's going to go with the wingers. Who would you put as number 10 and then the 2 behind?
10, I'm going with ESR. I am. I would have Pepe on the left. I'd have Saka. Saka. Yeah, I'd have Saka on right. But I still think the guy's tired and burnt. I would go with Aubameyang up front and Lokonga. I like Lokonga.
Lokonga and Partey, yeah?
Yeah.
That's exactly the front 3 and the midfield that I picked.
Oh, sorry.
And then I went, that's all right. And then I went with Tavares, as Kenny would call him, and Nuno Tavares, because obviously Tierney probably ain't going to be fit, and if he is, he's probably not ready. because he's been poor this season. I went with Tomiyasu, Ben White if he's recovered from his bug. If he hasn't, I would have put Holding in. I thought Holding played pretty well the other night.
He did actually.
And then obviously Gabriel and Ramsdale. But then you look at the bench and you just think, where's the game changers? Lacazette maybe. Other than that, we're kind of struggling. But Kenny, what would you do? And are you looking forward to it? Are you positive? Are you or are you going to be negative and toxic, Kenny? Because we know that we're negative and toxic over here. You know what I mean?
No, not at all. Not at all. I think if you asked me, if you were to ask me about 3 weeks ago, I would have said we'll win this because Leicester we're in like some really bad form, but they've recovered. I think Man United, not just the result, the performance against Man United rejuvenated them. Plus, they've got to find in Daka as well. So if they're ever going to be struggling for goals, with Hanacho and Vardy, you always got that guy to come on. Last couple of games, few games, Madison's been in good form for them as well. They also got Johnny Evans back fit as a fiddle as well. So that's kind of tying up the defence. They still got Castagna, and at left back, they're at the moment they're looking at what's that? The guy from Southampton. What's his name again?
Vestergaard. I looked at their last league fixture earlier.
Yeah,
Vestergaard,
they go a back three in it. If they go back
three,
the
last league game they played with a three with Pereira.
Right, so Pereira's going to be on the right, and then you're going to have probably Bertrand on the left or something, or maybe Castagna.
They went Castagna and Pereira, and then they went
that's probably
Evans, and it weren't Vestergaard. Vestergaard was on the bench. It was somebody else. I can't remember, but that was their three at the back. And then
they've got good players as well. They've got players like obviously Tielemans has got a bit of form, played really well, and obviously they've got Harvey Barnes is back fit as well. So these are kind of the danger men for Leicester. Marte, you think because he's Ndidi's injured, isn't it? So I think Marte's going to come in. So what we didn't get with Villa last week was that kind of midfield steel and inventiveness. All we had to get from Villa was inventiveness, but no steel. So we're able to sort of, outmuscle them. We're more athletic in the middle, and I think that helps us to build a platform to win a football match. But I think with Leicester, that's going to be a bit hard because I think they're going to be able to match us physically and maybe overpower us in that respect. But in order for us to win the game, we've got to have a very good, strong midfield. So again, if you're going midfield, it's Partey picks himself, Lokonga, and you go Smith Rowe. Thing is, Lacazette played really well last season when we beat Leicester at their ground 3-1, and he's managed to free the chains for Aubameyang. So I'm tempted to go Laka up top, Aubameyang up left, and maybe Pepe or Saka at the right. But I do think that Aubameyang plays his best football with Lacazette. But again, 100%. It's one of those things where we've got to win the midfield battle in order to allow Lacazette to get in the game. We don't win the midfield battle, then it's going to be hard for Lacazette. Lacazette's going to clog up the midfield, and because we're not winning the midfield battle, we won't have service for Aubameyang. But it's going to be a fascinating game and a fascinating team selection. But don't contaminate the team selection by playing players who shouldn't be in the team. So, for instance, as much as you're a big fan of Odegaard, don't embarrass the team. Just look at it for what it is. Lacazette is he earned his Spurs. He got the equaliser against Palace, played well on Friday, so keep him in the team. Don't unbalance and put Aubameyang's form in jeopardy by playing Odegaard and leaving Aubameyang without any support.
No, that's true. And the last couple of games they've played, obviously, Ndidi's been out. They've been playing Samore.
Oh, Samore.
Yes, he's somebody that we should have been signing, in my opinion. Cheap.
The next cover for Rack, they've got
quality player. And he gets stuck in. He gets stuck in and he can carry the ball as well. He's not just a robotic statue like Granit Xhaka. Like he can actually get up the pitch as well.
You use words like getting stuck in. Like the elephant in the room in terms of industry and like someone who's going to roll his sleeves back and have a go, getting stuck in. The elephant in the room is Ainsley Maitland-Niles in that position for Saturday, because you've got to consider him as well. If that's
He was my
mindset
man
you
of the
have
match the
in
other
terms of
night
getting stuck in.
against Leeds. I thought he was
What's that?
quality against Leeds.
Yeah, so he'll be knocking on that door for the midfield as well then.
Actually, I think I'd put Maitland-Niles in instead of Saka, actually. I think.
Instead of Saka.
Mm.
So what would you do? So you'll go Lokonga. What, you put Maitland-Niles right wing?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, I would.
How much wine you drunk?
First one. The only reason I'm saying that, guys, is because I think Saka, but I saw him on the last 2 games I've seen him at, he looks knackered.
No, he does. He does.
He doesn't look like he can last a full 45. And he becomes weak. He becomes slack. And I just think the kid needs a rest. So I would take the risk. I would take the risk, but make the Niles there.
You wouldn't go with Pepe, Martinelli, one of them?
No, I've got Pepe on the left.
Oh, of course you have. Yeah.
You can't have Martinelli anywhere near that team on form. You just can't have him. He's just totally off form. I know there's the argument to sort of like give him games and let him get a bit of rhythm, but he's so far away from our manager's thoughts. And, to the extent that, he's getting, I mean, against Villa, he came on an injury time. So he had basically 3 or 4 minutes to do what? Just to run around and stop Villa from, stop the defenders from, playing long balls in order to get them back into the game. That's all it is, really.
Big up to everybody watching live as well. Georgie in the chat says about Ndidi. He said he thinks he'll play. He's already been doing sprints. He's actually been training all week as well. He put that comment in earlier. Ndidi's been training all week. I'm not so sure you'll start Ndidi in this game. Maybe bring him on. But I think like the last time I see us play against Wilfred Ndidi, he was all over the place. And I like Ndidi. I think he's a quality player, but he was not great against us last time. And coming off the back of an injury, when you've already got players that are already playing well in that position, I wouldn't risk Ndidi. I wouldn't put him in there because...
What do you say about Ndidi and Partey in the midfield for us?
Oh, mate, could you imagine? Could you imagine? But our fans will sit there and say, oh, but they're too similar. They're too similar. Do you remember when I said many, many years ago, right? No, it weren't even many years ago. It was, what's his fucking name? Basuma and Partey. When Partey first joined, I said, now go and get Basuma. All of the fans here that were coming in my chat, like back then, were going, yeah, but they're too similar. They're too similar. Like 7 defenders if we play a 5 at the back, or 6 defenders. Now everyone's like, yeah, get Basuma. These people, just because they play in defensive positions, doesn't mean they're a defensive player. We've seen that with 5 at the back. Conte won the league with a 5 at the back, scoring the most goals in Victor
Moses, right wing back.
Right wing back. Do you know what I mean?
Who can hardly get a game for them before that. But he was his mainstay in that formation.
The same at Inter. I think he scored the most goals that Inter had scored, or a league record. I can't remember exactly, but he scored a fuckload of goals with Inter. I think it was one of the highest scoring seasons they've ever had, if not the highest scoring season in that league. And it's like, and that was with a 5 at the back. Thomas Tuchel plays 5 at the back, but people just see a 5 at the back and think it's defensive. Well, we scrambled past Norwich 1-0. By a goal that could potentially have been given offside. And it would have been if there was no VAR. Yeah, Chelsea go and slap them 7 with a youth team. That's a proper project. Yeah, do you know what I mean? Mason Mount hat-trick, Reece James. Yeah, fucking, what's his name?
Odoi scored, didn't it? Hudson-Odoi scored
Odoi, that's it. Hudson-Odoi. You've got...
I rate him as a footballer. By the way, I do rate him highly. I think he was like...
according to Matisse, he's the 1v1 demon, Kenny. I don't know about that, but...
Yeah, but I'm not too funny. If he didn't get an injury, I reckon he would have been part of Southgate's squad for the Euros. 100%.
He's a good player, though. I do rate him.
Of course, I'm forgetting. Maybe not Aber up front. Maybe we should have Entekia for his Bergkamp-esque goal.
Oh, yes. Who said that then? What? Right. It was that guy. That guy.
Yeah. I forgot about that because he's Bergkamp-esque. In a goal-mouth scramble. He told
maybe Julian was sat in sat in Champagne Lounge with judges and had a bit too much champagne, mate. I don't know.
I don't know, mate. I don't know if you give someone a platform, then you know you can't muzzle them, can you?
That's it. Yeah, Bergkamp-esque. Yeah, and listen, Bergkamp scored a hat trick against Leicester back in the day and got goal of the month 1, 2, and 3
off his shin as well. Off his shin.
them goals were mad though. I can't lie. That one where he took it out the air like and just boom, boom, all in one move. What a footballer, bro! Imagine comparing Eddie Nketiah to that. Like to fucking Bergkamp, man. Jesus Christ, these people. They're entitled to their opinion. We're entitled to rip it apart.
I think the guy had a pork chop moment, didn't he?
Yeah, see, look, even Leicester fan Georgie says that was the best hat trick ever. It's definitely up there. I mean, like I can't think off at the top of my head.
All the goals are good, isn't it? The first goal
right now.
In the top corner, isn't it? You were at the game, Chase, when you hit in the top corner.
Pinged it, yeah. Took it down, bosh, top bins. Yeah, quality player, man.
I forgot about Nketiah. You know, I'm sure Bergkamp's looking down and looking at him thinking,
"Oh, I wish I could have done that."
I could have toe poked that one.
Just think, Crystal Palace must be really gutted that they got Edouard instead of Nketiah, isn't it?
Oh man, yeah, they're gutted.
They're fuming. Brandon, who comes on the channel and does fan cams, said it was more Welbeck-esque than fucking Bergkamp.
Poor old Diego in the chat. I bet he's absolutely heartbroken that they've got Edouard.
Do you know what I mean?
He must be gutted, didn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, what was it last 3 years? Was it 4 years ago? You were at the game, innit? Because that's the game when you and DT nearly knocked me over when I was on the way.
Yes, when you're coming out of the gym.
Yeah, I was coming out of the gym and DT was in one of his Land Rovers or Range Rover. I don't know what it was. Either way, he nearly took me out. And I
nearly wiped you out as you crossed the road.
It was about across, and he did it on purpose. He must have seen me coming from a distance as well. But you know, so basically, what it was anyway, Eddie 3 years ago. That was
the Norwich game, right?
Yeah, that was it. The Eddie when they went on the fan cams, isn't it? These guys.
That game, he would have scored a very good hat trick if he had finished the last opportunity he had. Do you remember when he picked the ball up, Kenny, on the halfway line?
I won at the game you guys were.
He picked the ball up on the halfway line, right, on the right-hand side, and he scared the life out of him, like when he came on. Yeah, and it was an inspired substitution from Wenger, by the way, because we were like, really? And it was like, ping, ping. We were like, fucking hell, okay, we've got a player here. Yeah, how stupid were we? But he picked the ball up on the right wing, and he legged it round about 4 players, and they were bricking it, man. And then he scuffed the shot. If he had scored, that would have been one of the best hat tricks I would have seen live, because it was a quality fucking. That was actually a really good game when he came on. Before that, it was shit.
Eddie. Does he remind you a bit of Franny Jeffers the way he plays?
Yeah, he does. Yeah, it does actually.
Yeah, he don't really do much outside of the 6-yard box.
But I think
the box in the box we've always needed.
I think that if he was in a team where basically he didn't have to do the groundwork, he is quite innovative in the box, and he is a bit of a shark. And when I look at his game, I think, well, he's a bit like Franny Jeffers. And Franny Jeffers was a fantastic footballer that we signed from Everton. Obviously, it didn't really work at Arsenal because of the way we played. But, Eddie does remind me of Franny Jeffers a bit.
Yeah, it's true, man. No, it's true. It is very true. Everyone's putting their hat tricks, the best hat tricks in. Canu's was good. Ravanelli, this is a throwback. Ravanelli hat trick for Middlesbrough on his debut. I remember that.
Against Liverpool, isn't it?
Yeah, I do remember that. And where was the other one? Gareth Bale against Inter. Against Inter.
They lost that game, didn't it?
Yeah, it was. There were some good ones though, man. Look, Diego's fuming that they didn't sign Eddie Nketiah. Well, listen, mate, he's out of contract in the summer, so maybe he'll come and get
hat trick against Sheffield Wednesday in Vieira's first game when Vieira came on substitute. He wrote a hat trick when they beat Sheffield Wednesday 4-1.
Yeah, that was Vieira. Didn't Vieira come on second half, early second half?
Yeah, that was 86-87 season. I think that was before Arsene Wenger actually was officially unveiled as their manager.
Yeah, because Vieira signed for Arsenal before Wenger officially had been announced, didn't it?
With David Dean signed him, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Do you know what? I'm not going to totally disregard Wenger, because I think I think Vieira knew, and I think they all knew that Wenger was coming. So maybe Wenger did have a hand in that signing, but officially on paper, Vieira signed before Wenger was announced.
Hey, everyone's forgetting this two hat tricks. Jez, you remember it? 2 Fridays in 2004, Liverpool. We were 2-1 down. Henry hat trick. The week afterwards, Henry gets 4 goals against Leeds. Pure pace, power. Leeds
that one where he just burst. That was a joke, wasn't it? And he was falling over and still scooped it over. Didn't he dink a penalty down the middle against, was it Nigel Martin?
Yes, right, yeah.
Just chipped the penalty. And it was like, you're taking the piss, mate. Every time he had his head shaved, like properly, like bicked it all off. It was like, he used to fucking score every time, didn't he? It's like, right, he's got his head shaved.
Hey, but you guys still think Dennis Bergkamp's the best player you've ever seen?
I still think Bergkamp's better. Yeah. Honestly, I just like I think when we signed Bergkamp, like, and I remember it because my old man said to me, and I was like, "You're chatting rubbish." So we had to go teletext back then, and it was on teletext, page 302 on teletext, and it was just like, "Fucking hell, we signed Bergkamp," and it was like Bergkamp, like, and to me, like that was like when fans talk about the class and tradition of Arsenal. Bergkamp sums it all up for me. Like that is class and tradition. What that guy could do with a football was insane. Thierry Henry gave us something different. He gave us a more, like, I don't know. He was. This is going to sound stupid because I don't think he's as good as R9, but they both have very similar traits. They were both quick. They were both powerful. They were both ruthless in front of goal. Yeah, and they're very similar. And you could debate who's better. All you like. R9 was fucking mad, but I think Thierry Henry just took us to a level where it was like, fuck, everyone's shit scared of us. Whereas I don't think Bergkamp brought that.
If you think it's both of them make different
the vision
shots.
and the passing.
Like Dennis struggled for a few games. Remember the first game he played that season, Middlesbrough at home, 1-1, and then it was a Southampton game where it kind of clicked. And I think with Henry, it was a game where Arsene Wenger finally played him down the middle against Derby County. It was a Sunday game. Played him through the middle. He got 2 goals, and from that, I think it was around November, 1999. From then on, Thierry Henry became the best. I thought probably the best player that's ever graced the Premiership. You know what I mean? So, and I think,
I still think Bergkamp. But the thing is, we're just lucky.
See, I'll try to catch you out there, innit? Everyone says the best player. I'll try to catch you both out.
Yeah, I know you can't catch me out. I've only had 2 beers, Kenny.
I did try it. I did try it. You, Jez.
No, do you know what it is? It's personal preference, right? And like majority of people our age, which is why I'm shocked by you, Kenny, by saying Henry, because the majority of people my age or around my age and above would normally go Bergkamp. Some say Liam Brady. Yeah. So for you to say Henry, that does surprise me, but it's not a surprise because he's fucking brilliant. Like I'm not taking nothing away from Henry. I just like Bergkamp type of player.
I just look at Henry in a sort of from then on. I look at Henry in the 2002 double winning side, the Invincible season as
2002 to 2004, he was the best player in the world.
Yeah, and I think in that sort of corridor. But then again, obviously you got Dennis Bergkamp from 1997 on to like 2002. Yeah, there is an argument there.
Yeah, this is a good comment. The R9 hat trick at Old Trafford. I don't think I've ever seen another player get a standing ovation at Old Trafford from the Manx. Don't think I've ever seen one. Yeah, that guy was just a fucking joke. He was such a sick footballer, man. Like I don't know about his fucking haircuts and all that, but he was such a sick footballer. He was. But somebody put a comment in. I want to find it. If I can. There it is. Henry gave us a fear factor. That's a great comment because Bergkamp had the class, the finesse, the touch. He was a nasty fucker as well. Don't get it twisted. And he was one of the best divers I've ever seen in football. Yeah, he was quality. Yeah. And back then, the boots used to make the clicking, like when you click your own heels and that. Yeah. Now they're fucking paper thin. You ain't getting that noise anymore, innit? And he was a master of clicking his own heels and making it look like he got fouled.
It was like old Klinsmann, wasn't it? When he was at
Klinsmann, 1990 World Cup and 94, innit?
It was funny when he signed for Tottenham. every time he scored, he did the fucking belly flop that fucking dive, didn't he?
Right,
I love banter like that. Even though he played for that lot, what a footballer, man. What a player. Yeah, and it's like, I like people that want to take the piss on their celebration. That's why I like Jamie Vardy. That guy is the biggest fucking wind-up merchant, man. Like, literally, wind-up. And it's like, players like that are great, but I'm just kind of lucky, or we're kind of lucky, that we've actually seen both of these players, Henry and Bergkamp, and together, not one after the other. It's like together. Like, I
think Robert Perez was threatening to be. Robert Perez is a special mention because he was top class, especially when he was fit. And there was a period, as well where you could have said, you know what, he could have, had he been there a bit long enough, he could have just maybe rivaled them, because you look at the season before he got his knee injury, he was playing. That was probably the best individual performances, set of performances I've seen in an Arsenal shirt from Robert Perez before he got injured.
He was class. His goal at Anfield, I'll never forget that, where he just pinged it top corner. It was like, what a fucking goal, mate. It's like, where do we get these players from now then? Because, like, honestly, I don't see all these players we've just named, Klinsmann, Bergkamp, Omri, R9. There was somebody mentioned Rivaldo. I mean, where are these next gen? Because the next gen are fucking shit. Let's be real. They're nowhere near this level, mate.
Haaland and Mbappe, do you rate them?
Haaland and Mbappe. Mbappe's never going to be as relentless as Thierry Henry, because Thierry Henry technically is levels better than Mbappe will ever be. But Mbappe's got that fear factor because of his pace. But you can nullify Mbappe quite quickly. Just sit deep, park the bus. Yeah, and then you just got to watch his movement. His movement's very good, actually, Mbappe. But you can nullify Mbappe very easily. Whereas, like with Thierry Henry, you couldn't, because he'll drop deep. He'll ping one from 30 yards, top corner. Remember the goal against
Man City,
Man United?
And
the Man City one, where that had no fucking backlift on that. That was like right near the end of the game as well. What a goal that was! Yeah, but the one against who was the goalkeeper in goal for United that day? With longish hair.
Oh, right, it was Northern Irish goalkeeper. It was Roy Carroll.
Roy Carroll, that's it. Yeah, he was their reserve, and it was like the fucking goal he scored that day. Like, and it was swerving all over the place. Yeah, but again, totally shaved head. I knew he'd score. Like, every time he had that head shave, mate, like, it was a madness. You just knew it. Or if he put the gloves on, the gloves and the shaved head, nailed on goal, man, he was going to do a drama. But it's like, when you look at the players in the world now, how many players are on this level? Like, back in the 90s, the Italian league, that was just ridiculous, man. All the centre backs out there, every single one of them was top class. Every single one of them. Even the shittest centre backs in that Italian league were better than the centre backs in this league right now, other than maybe Van Dijk, because I do really rate Van Dijk.
Yeah, but Italian football is one of those things where that it was a defensive league, and I think if you scored 15 goals a season, then that's equivalent to scoring 30 goals today in Italian football. Because remember, most of their best players and goal scorers would tend to be attacking midfielders, like people like Platini. But there are players, right? Jean-Pierre Papin, one of the best strikers I've ever seen for a period.
He's quality, yeah.
He went to Milan. He didn't really cut up that atmosphere. Remember, we talked about Lentini as well. The most expensive player got involved in a car accident. After he got to from Torino to Milan.
Jean-Pierre Papin at Marseille, even now, is probably held a fucking hero, man. Like, that guy was probably their best ever footballer.
Yeah,
Papin. Oh, he was brilliant, man. What a player. What a player, man. Like, unbelievable. Like, and he weren't big physically, and he weren't rapid, but he was just so intelligent, man. It's like players like that. It was just like, where are these players now? Because technically, I just look at some of these players and think, how the fuck are you made it? It's mad, isn't it? Like, you look at some of these players and you think, how have you made it in this game?
Athleticism league. It's athletes. Athletes nowadays are going to be the sort of players looking for. What's that?
It's a different game now.
Yeah, it is. It's faster. It's faster.
One of the. I'll tell you what. Talking about Arsenal, my two favourite players in midfield at Arsenal is Liam Brady and Bergkamp. Liam Brady for his time was phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. It was a different game back then. But one of the greatest players I ever saw play was Eusebio.
See, I didn't get to see him, but they talk about him, innit? You would have better see him. Those Benfica teams in the 1960s have got to a lot of European Cup finals. You know what I mean? Runners up a few times, won it a couple of times as well. But they runners up in '68, weren't they? And they runners up in '63 against both at Wembley, innit?
Yeah, but the thing is, I back in I think it was 71. Arsenal had a pre-season friendly against Benfica. And I saw Eusebio actually play live. And I'll tell you what, that bloke was phenomenal. I think Benfica beat us, actually. I think they beat us 3-1. But he was unbelievable, that bloke. He was... You had to, but you almost had to put him, Kenny, on a pedestal like Pele in the 60s, 70s. He was just unbelievable.
You think about it, right, as well. I think what's happening right now is kind of a forwards game in terms of the offsides and the fact that, a tackle from behind is banned, professional fouls, and also a tackle over the top. Now, what was happening is that back in the day, you still had the tackle from behind, offside was level, and you would think, obviously, in terms of physically, I think they're better than they're a lot better. They're in more better conditions
as well,
than what we had before. But in terms of
you could pick the ball up back then if you passed it back as well.
Exactly, but you think about it. Can you imagine that if it was a forwards game like Eusebio, Pele, Maradona, Platini, they would love it there.
Oh, Platini! What a player he was, Platini.
And that's why I don't do assists, because when I see players like Platini scoring goals to the levels of centre forwards, and I see probably like players like David Platt, obviously Frank Lampard, not technically as good as them, I dictate attacking midfield play from goals. I'm not interested in assists. It doesn't bother me one bit that Kevin De Bruyne, broke the assist record or was trying to. I couldn't care less. No. How many goals do you score, Kev? You don't have to defend. You're an attacking midfield.
Glenn Hoddle's enough one. I weren't really young enough. Like, you guys would have seen him in his prime, man.
Oh God, he was a superb player.
Right,
Ches?
Unbelievable, man.
What do you think of Glenn Hoddle, Ches?
Sorry,
Glenn Hoddle.
Oh, Glenn Hoddle. Oh, mate. Oh. Yeah, class. Absolute class.
And he scored goals as well.
Chris Waddle later as well. Chris Waddle was a top player as well.
I think
he don't really get any credit.
I actually wrote an article, and I had the most naturally gifted players, and in my top naturally gifted players, Paul Scholes actually won it.
Oh,
I had John Barnes in there. I left out Letizia. I had John Barnes.
How could you leave Letizia out, man? Come on, Letizia was a bad player.
I know, but I left that. But it was an accident. But I had Alan Hudson, I had Tony Curry, I had Gaza, I had Paul Scholes, I had Glenn Hoddle, I had Frank Worthington. I couldn't leave out Frank Worthington.
Oh, Frank Worthington!
I had to have Frank Worthington. I had Rodney Marsh. So I had all these players. I couldn't find a place for Letizia.
Yeah, he was quality.
Bad for it.
Do you know what? When I was growing up, like, and like some of the players that I see, not necessarily just live, but when you see him, Letizia is up there, man. He was such a baller. That guy never scored a shit goal. Like, literally every goal was just quality. And I like David Ginola as well. Like, I thought he was brilliant, man. Yeah, just such a good footballer. Like, and like, it was. Do you remember when he who was the manager of Aston Villa when they said that he was overweight and then he scored and he ripped his shirt off and put his arms up and all that, didn't he? Do you remember? It was the manager, dark-haired lad.
It was John Gregory.
John Gregory, that's him. Yeah, and he was like flexing and like, yeah, what? It's like they don't make them like that anymore, man. Like and players like that could play in this era comfortably. Like all the players you just named there, every single player you were naming when I was going to toilet, they could all smash it in this era. How many of these players could smash it in that era? Probably not many.
Yeah,
probably not many. Current players right now, probably not many, mate.
What do you think about Peter Beardsley, right?
Oh God, superb player.
Little guy. He was rock hard, that bloke. Rock hard. And he was probably one of the toughest players to tackle. because his centre of gravity was so low. He was stocky. He was quick. I mean, he was class. He was a class player.
Dag Leach was dirty as well. He put his foot in.
Yeah.
Yeah, Doug Leach was a good man, a very good player. Yeah. It's like some of these names in the chat as well. Somebody put in Batistuta a minute ago.
Baggio, Van Basten,
Like, so somebody put in Batistuta. That's one of my all-time favourite strikers. He was unbelievable. Do you remember when he smashed us at Wembley?
Yes.
Do you remember that? He was quality, man. When he was at Fiorentina, he was absolutely.
Do you remember when he went to Roma? When him and Capello went to Roma, they won the league in their first season.
What a footballer, mate! I don't know. Like, it's mad because, like like you said, you made a great point earlier. That you said 15 goals back then. It's probably 30 now, and that's because the defenses now are nowhere near as good as they were back then. Like, if you look, especially the Italian league, like for the younger people watching, back in the 90s, we used to be able to watch the Italian football on Gazzetta dello Sport on Channel 4 every weekend, and with James Richardson, and back then it was just like every centre back for every team was just top class. Like literally every centre back was brilliant. Yeah, and they're still, like, if you picked a world 100 great centre backs, most of them come from that league back in the 90s. Yeah, unbelievable centre backs, man. And then they had some of the greatest strikers, like they had what's his name, Adriano. You had
that's right,
George Weah.
Yeah, that's right.
Remember that goal he scored where he ran the whole end for the pitch?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
unbelievable, man. Back then, football was just different, man. Like
do
now,
you remember
it's still exciting,
like Giuseppe Signori? Remember Foggia? There was a period, I think, in 91-92 season, where Foggia was just they were basically like a metamorphosis of what Italian football's like now, very attacking, but they only seemed like attack. Like they played one way, just on the attack. And that's when you saw players like Giuseppe Signori, and then he went to Lazio, where he was another player that, probably doesn't get all the plaudits because of, there were better players in that era.
Same with Recoba. Do you remember Recoba? He was
Uruguay.
Brilliant. Yeah, he was such a good footballer, man. I never knew this, by the way. Is this true? Like, I genuinely never knew Kevin Keegan's won 2 Ballon d'Ors.
Yeah, yes, he has. He won the European Player of the Year in '79, and I think he's in '78 and '79. Yeah,
I never knew that.
Yeah, when he went to Hamburg, I
knew he played for Hammer. I never knew that he'd won. No, mate, that's mad.
He was a hard-working player that turned himself into one of the best players in Europe. He wasn't naturally gifted, but he worked his nuts off to become a good top player.
This guy was quality as well. Do you remember that Parma team he played in?
Oh, Parma. You know that team when they had Aspria, Zola, Apolloni, Morsi,
Darlene, Brolin,
Palenka in goal. Those sort of players. And they had Sensini, Argentine right back as well. And they should have thrashed us in Denmark, innit, Jez?
Mad, yeah, mate. All these players, man, like, unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like Brolin and Darlene, man, that little link up. Was
you remember the commentary from Barry Davis, isn't it?
Barry Davis. Kenny's gone. Yeah, mate, that was a mad link up. I can't lie, but yeah, they don't make them like that anymore. And some of them Brazilian teams were mental as well. Romario, Cafu, Dunga. Yeah, like unbelievable players, man, unbelievable players. And like, I don't know whether it's just because like money has and like the way football's evolved. It's like back then they never really played for money. They played for the love of football, innit?
Well, that's the thing, though. We've said this before, haven't we? The fact that money is so big now in football. Well, we got a prime example. We got 2. We had Bellend,
Ronnie Rosenthal. Yeah, Bellend.
Not interested in football, but I'm okay. We've got Ben White, who doesn't study football. Sorry, Benjamin. I do apologise.
Is that what he calls himself, Benjamin? Oh, yeah. It's a bit like Andrew Cole.
Yeah.
So, you've got these players.
Another one that got away from the Arsenal, by the way.
We'll talk about it off camera, all right?
But, you've got these guys who've got ability. They've got great ability, and you can't knock it. But they're not interested in football. Whereas any young kid in the chat here, you, me, anybody, we're giving our fucking soul to play for Arsenal.
or any level of football,
Good.
like top level of football, wouldn't you? And it's like, you know, I said this with you the other night, Jez, with Diesel. It's like, and I'm sure I've said it before with you lads on a podcast, like, you know, Ben White, there's no incentive for him to ever go and get better. He's on 100 grand a week. He's made it. At the end of that contract, he can retire. He don't have to sign a new deal. He's done. Yeah. Joel Linton, Newcastle, 100 grand a week. He's sweet for life, mate. Yeah. What's his incentive to get better?
Yeah, but I think that's the thing with footballers as well, is that they I think what's happening, they will tell you, oh, you know, it's a good time to be a footballer because they've got everything going for them. Before, they used to be treated like babies in terms of like they you know, they never booked their holidays, never booked their trips away. Everything was done for them. Their passports went through passport control and they just walked through. And I think it still happens now, but I think what's happening now is that they are looked after. Their mental health is a lot better. Like, for instance, you know, mental health wasn't probably the greatest. Like, it was a tough business, horrible business. You know, I remember, you know, watching a program where Brian Clough went up to one player when the wife was worried about the player. He went to the person's wife. I don't care about all of that. All I care about is 3 points on a Saturday.
Do you remember the story that George Graham, Wrighty told, I think it was, about fucking Rocky Rocastle, when George Graham sat him in the car that day and said, "We're selling you, mate," and he cried. Yeah, and he was like, back then, like, it weren't run your contract down and you're staying. Yeah, it's no, we've accepted a bid, mate, and you're gone. You know, that's how football's changed. And like, that guy would, like, RIP to him. Yeah, he bled Arsenal, man. Yeah, and George Graham, I'm sure that was a hard decision to make and a hard conversation.
It was medical advice, though. Medical advice, they say.
Yeah. But again, like, you know, now, can you, like, we see it with Wenger when Adebayor, like, when he run the whole length of the pitch against us at City. Yeah, when it comes out years later and everyone's kicked off on him and throwing coins and lighters and chairs at him at City, right? It's like when he comes out and says, "Well, I scored 30 odd goals, and then I went into training in pre-season, and Wenger said, 'No, you're leaving. You're going to Man City.'" And he was like, "But boss, I don't want to leave." He goes, "Well, you leave, or you're in the reserves." So he left. But then it only comes out all these years later. And
well,
it's
that's
like,
what he told Pete. That's what he told David Seaman. He said to David Seaman, "Like, I want you to leave because if you stay, you're going to be the number 3 goalkeeper."
Yeah. And now, can you imagine a conversation now? Let's say Mikel Arteta, for example, says to Aubameyang, "You're leaving. We've accepted 3 million quid, 10 million quid, 30 million, whatever it may be. You're leaving. And we've accepted the bid from, I don't know, DTFC." yeah, we've accepted the bid from, I don't know, AFTVFC or whatever. You're going. Could you imagine? He'd just go, "I ain't going anywhere, mate. I've got a contract. I'll just sit on it." Yeah,
like
Nketiah would necessarily do that, but there is players within the game now, and these conversations, I'm sure, don't happen anymore because they have to deal with agents now, and the agents are just running football. Yeah, whereas back then, it was just like, no, I'm going to sit the player down in my car and I'm going to tell him he's leaving, and if you don't leave, you're in the reserves. We don't care if we pay you every week, mate, but you're leaving, and you want to play football, so you're leaving. Now the money's gone, boom, stupid money.
Ozil did it, didn't he? He just down and sat on the bench, or didn't even sit on the bench, did he? Just sat at home
playing Fortnite.
Trust me, I don't care what anyone says. People can talk about a lot of rubbish about that. It had to do with his views on the Uyghur Muslims in China. Absolutely not. Arteta looked at the situation. He wasn't getting involved in Zoom meetings during lockdown, and he thought, right, I want my side back. He's probably close to Unai Emery, and he had a conversation with Unai Emery. And Unai Emery gave him a dossier and all the bad eggs in the dressing room. I said, right,
gave him a little like SIM card or something, like what's it called, the USD stick or something you can stick in. Do you remember when he had all of that? Oh, I can make every player better, Unai Emery. To be fair to him, the one thing I'll give him credit for, he made Iwobi better because we got 40 mil for him.
I'll tell you about Unai Emery, right? Aubameyang and Lacazette have never played better football since he's gone.
100%. Neither's Martinelli. Yeah, unbelievable, mate. Martinelli, still to this day, Martinelli has still scored more goals for Unai Emery than he has since Unai Emery's left.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's I know he had an injury, but that's still mad.
Yeah,
And
but,
he
Unai Emery,
scored-
but according to a state agent in Barkingside, who's got so many followers but no footballing knowledge, Unai Emery lost the dressing room.
this makes me laugh when people say this.
The signature line from that person is, "Oh, you know, it's up to them when they cross the right line." Oh, bloody hell! A good friend of mine from Brixton normally says it, and he used to play for the club. A good mate of mine says that that person copied that, didn't they?
Do you know what's funny though, right? Is when people say that, and that is a narrative that a lot of people use to back Arteta, that, oh yeah, Emery lost the dressing room. Well, if Emery lost the dressing room and players weren't playing for him, the fact that we were even like still sat 8th, right? Yeah. And we were playing poor football and he was breaking unwanted records at the time. But the way our fans go on, like, oh, we're only X amounts off 4th. Well, back then we were only, I think we were 8 points off 4th, right? After 13 games. Now, fast forward 2 years later, we finished 8th. Yes, he's won an FA Cup, and congratulations to him. We like cups, we like trophies, but now we're 10th. Yeah, and it's like, well, if the players down tools for Unai Emery, and that's what was served up then, what's going on now? Now they all play for him. Is that down to the coach?
They make it go along. The other day, one man who was here for 18 months, it was to blame for everything that went wrong 10 years before he came to the football club, and he's now to blame for the last 22 months. I mean, it's quite extraordinary. I mean, you know, I'll tell you one thing: you should be taking them and marching around the world, because this is the most extraordinary occurrence in football, and it doesn't really happen. But for somehow, he's managed to be the blame for everything that's gone wrong in the last few years. It's extraordinary.
Mad. It's genuinely mad. And
sorry, mate. You're actually wrong, because there's a top lady on a certain channel says we don't want trophies. We want top.
It's all about the vibes, Jez. It's vibes and inshallah, bro. That's all it is. It's not about winning. It's all about the vibes, mate, and it's all about just getting on with people. That's all it is. It's getting on with people and vibes.
I'm not surprised you get hate on channels, because you can't be positive and want to win stuff. You just come 5th loser, and that's an achievement. Yeah, and that's the way we have to go. So you have to believe in the PR process. So
there you go. And on that bombshell, people, we're going to wrap this up. Big up to Andy Hart as well, YouTube member again. Thank you, mate. Appreciate it.
I'm joking.
No. The sarcasm level on this channel is insane. I can't lie. But listen, big up to everybody who's watched live. Appreciate it. I'll be back again tomorrow. I do believe he's doing a press conference in the morning. I've already done a preview, but if he does do a press conference, which I'm led to believe he's doing tomorrow morning, I will still do a press conference reaction. I'm on with Rants at 3 p.m. UK time on his Twitch channel, Rants and Bants Official. That's always a joke show, so make sure you come and check that out. And yeah, we're going to wrap this up. I'm going to go and spank a load more money on FIFA, because it's pay to win, as it is in real life football. And thank you to Andy, man. Come on, you're a real one, bro. Charlie George, right? That guy is the only footballer I've ever met where I couldn't get my words out. And by the time I said hello, he'd gone. He came out the lift right in front of me at the Emirates in the underground car park as I was going in. I was like,
he still lives in this incident. He still lives in their Liverpool Road.
He still looks the same, just a little bit older.
Yeah, because he frequented William Hill and Upper Street quite a lot, because he was not too far walking distance from where he stays at the moment. Yeah, not too far from Liverpool Road.
There you go. Listen, Kenny Jez, thank you for coming on. Kenny Ken 1972 on Insta and Twitter. He still has a Twitter account. He hasn't been cancelled yet.
Well, the thing is, I don't fall for those booby traps, innit? I still give it back. But I try to use it. But I just do it by humour.
Yeah, I just go a bit over the top sometimes. So I already know.
a bit.
You got any boxing podcasts coming up, Kenny?
I did one yesterday, because Matty Joshua had an interview with IFL, a good guy called Kugan Cassius, when he was talking about, also to change his approach. Yeah, he wants to change his approach. He wants to be more of a warrior in the ring, and blah blah. And also, there's going to be a big boxing card. Dylan White can't fight, unfortunately, this Saturday because of his injuries. But there's a top of the bill. Craig Richards, Spike Richards is fighting. Alan the Savage Babbage is fighting Eric Molina. By the way, Molina
That'd be a good fight.
Molina's already discussed it with Eddie Hearn, which ran that he's going to go down. I'm sure if he gets hit pretty hard, he's going to go down. It's the deal. It's always the deal with Molina. But as I said, get yourself down to the zone. If you ain't got the zone,
I've got it.
I was going to say it's only £1.99, but it's now nearly £8. So I don't know,
mate. It's €9.99 out here, and you get everything, mate. All the Premier League games, 3 o'clock.
No, we just get the boxing. I go to zone boxing.
Yeah, we get it all here, mate. Motorsport, Carabao Cup, boxing, F1, golf. We get it all. I get the Women's League. I get the Championship football. We get the Copa del Rey. I don't get Spanish La Liga, but that's no drama to me. I don't get Champions League or Europa League. But listen, big up to everyone who's watched, man. Make sure you smash the likes up. And I'll be back again tomorrow if he does a press conference. I'm sure he will be. I think it's 10 a.m. he's doing it, but I may be wrong. And that's me done for tonight. A lot of people have been asking me very quickly before I wrap up if I'm going to stream FIFA. I will be streaming it next week at some point. I need to make sure I've got all the equipment. I'm sure I've got an Elgato game capture somewhere. And I've got all the wires, and I've got the software on the Mac to do it. So yeah, at some point I will be. For now, I'm just spanking a fortune on it to try and get my team up. And I've got enough to buy Mbappe at the moment.
You beat just Arsenal.
Yeah, you can, but I do Ultimate Team, so I can have the likes of Eusebio, Hullet, Desai. No, I know they're called icons, Jez, yeah, and they're a fortune. Now I can have Wayne Rooney. A friend of mine's got Eusebio.
He'd be in his 70s now, man. I don't think he'd be very good.
No, on FIFA they do the cards from when they were early days, then when they were middle days, then when they were later days, then they do an even prime one. So, but they're a fortune. I mean, Mbappe, just to buy Mbappe's card is 1.4 million coins, and to put that into money terms, I did €300 on packs yesterday just to get players out, and I've got and I've got €300 I did yesterday. Yeah. I'm about to do the same tonight. No. Yeah, we buy it. Pay to win, mate. Listen, you get nothing for coming second, mate. It's first loser. It's all about winning. Yeah, it's all about winning.
First loser.
On the game.
Yeah, you play to win.
Fuck's sake.
Yeah, you don't play to come second, Jez. Come on.
Well, actually, I would like you to, because when I do things like a quiz and everything. I'll get to Zone Canada. Right, thanks for that.
Zone Canada has everything on it. You'll have to get a VPN, I think, to get it, because you can't get it in the UK.
I'll try and definitely get that. But one thing I like about all of you guys is that if we do a quiz, I take it seriously. Everything I do, like tennis, everything, I play to win. And if you're on my side, you're not part of it. I either walk away or I'll dump you, I'll kick you off the team. Seriously, even I have to win. Quizzes.
That's how I win. That's how I am. That's how I am. I have to win.
I don't like people with who have a philosophy because they have like it's only a game. Oh, it's not the end of the world. It bloody is. If I'm playing, I want to win.
Yeah, it's like Monopoly. The whole board goes up in the air if I start losing, mate. Like, do you know what I mean? We're out of here, people. Listen, all have a wonderful evening. And thanks for coming on again, lads. Appreciate it, giving up your time. And that. Arteta Fuera. Arteta out. We're out of here. Laters.
Arteta, please. I'll go to Barcelona. It's a good vacancy.
Laters.